On this week's episode of the WNP podcast, get your sunscreen, we're getting hot. Stay tuned. Episode 150 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson. And joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how are you?
I am doing swell, thank you for asking, but I'm not going to lie. You've had better intros.
Have I?
If we're going, the one I
We're
had.
getting hot already?
Yeah, if I thought you were going in route, I thought you were going to go with, make sure to turn on the AC because we're getting hot in here, something like that. Not bring your sunscreen.
I literally said it quote for quote. Like, I read it line for line.
I know, no, I'm saying, I didn't look at what you said. I try not to for WNP. I just, because they could be hot outside in no sun.
But we're getting hot. With our hot takes episode, we got our fantasy hot takes episode, and joining us today alongside of the oh so glorious Chase Crawshaw, we've got 2 of 4 of the Flashy Stats Fantasy Podcast, Giuseppe Vitale, Mike Buckles. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. I thought the intro was great. I don't know what
thank
Jason's talking about.
Oh wow!
The guests got to suck up. So
no, we don't need to suck up to anyone. Like, that was probably the best intro I've ever heard. Like, at least from what I listened
that
to.
was great. I'm ready to go.
I don't think
that just hyped me up.
Can you see how I'm getting red?
Yeah, I'm blushing. See, we're enhancing the hotness.
Yeah, I'm blushing here.
I mean, we record 3 episodes a week usually between WNP and Bulls broadcasts. I've definitely heard better. Not gonna lie.
Ouch. All right. Well,
so I just wanted to start with the hot take nice and early.
Tough crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was more of a hot take or more just like, I'm just gonna dig at you real quick.
Well,
it's
100% both. Yes, 100% both.
Anyway, on today's episode of the WNP podcast, we're going to quickly look over the news because we have 2 big pieces of news, including Deshaun Watson and the Miami Dolphins. But then it is a fantasy hot takes episode. We're going to be going around the table, giving you some hot takes when it comes to this year's fantasy football season. Give our confidence rating, and you'll see how it all goes. We have heard a little birdie told us that, Mike Buckles over here in the Darnell Mooney jersey, he's got some heat. So I'm very excited to gauge this. And now I've put the pressure on, so I hope you're ready to deliver here. But let's go over the news first, guys. Deshaun Watson, the NFL and the NFLPA, Deshaun Watson, came out and said that they were willing to, or did the NFL completely do it? I know at least the NFLPA and Deshaun Watson said we're willing to accept what the judge rules when it comes to his suspension.
It was just the one side.
And the NFL didn't say anything.
Correct.
So the judge came out and ruled 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson. People were up in arms about it. The NFL didn't really make a comment until today, 2 days after the initial ruling, and they are going back on it. They're saying, hey, we want Deshaun Watson to be out indefinitely with at least a full year out of football.
Yeah, and a big part of this as well is they saw his contract. They want to include a hefty fine. That was something that they talked about during this process, or at least that was rumored that they want a hefty fine to be involved. And part of the 6-game suspension is a forfeiture of salary, but not a hefty fine to be paid to the league, which the league then adds to the Player Association fund for retirement and stuff. But it's going to be interesting how this works out, because at the end of the day, I don't think they have to listen to what the judge said. They could have taken what the judge wanted to say and say 6 games, move on. But it's the NFL; they're their own governing body. If they want to do a further investigation and try to appeals, I think they technically can give them whatever suspension they want. I could be wrong, but I would at least expect a longer suspension at least half the season at the absolute minimum, and he's going to get some sort of pretty hefty fine as well.
Deshaun Watson's situation overall, kind of a tough one to talk about, but I'm curious from you two guys, what are the Browns looking at if the NFL actually wins here and Deshaun Watson's out for this full year? Like, obviously they gave up a ton to go out and get Deshaun Watson, multiple first-round picks, assuming Jacoby Brissett's probably going to be the starter for them. What do the Cleveland Browns look like without him?
I would just say, from the organization standpoint, looking at the Browns, they look like clowns.
Yeah.
Browns are clowns. Like,
nice
if you're looking at that, like, you know all these allegations, you know all these things, and you go out and spend all these assets, and then extend him to make it even worse after hearing all this. Like, I don't know why they thought they'd be in position to do that, take that risk. I mean, they had Baker Mayfield. They hated him that much that they went out and did this. Like, I don't know. That's just a weird organizational standpoint for me.
Yeah, really crazy. Buckles, let's take a football perspective on this, not necessarily the public opinion of it. Deshaun Watson, a great football player.
Of course.
Not going to have him on the field. Are the Browns a playoff team without him?
Oh, God, no. They were questionable with a 6-game suspension. I feel like they have a very tough schedule, and their offensive weapons, I mean, they're a run-heavy offense. In this league, I don't see them without Deshaun Watson for 6 games. Even if they split and go 3-3 in those 6 games, they don't make playoffs then. So I feel like if he's out for the entire year, there's absolutely no chance. And do you even want to win if you're a Browns fan? Do you even want to try and make playoffs if you don't have him?
Well, I think at the point they're at right now, I should say, they have to because they don't have those first-round picks, you know. Yes, they just spent them on Deshaun Watson, who I do got to say, though, as a Bengals fan, the 6 games, not enough for me because the Bengals faced them in week 8 and then I think again in week 14 or something. So I don't want both games against Deshaun Watson. If we can keep him out all year, then I'm very happy with that.
It just here's the problem. If he is suspended for at least a year and it's an indefinite thing, kind of like they did with what's his name, not Julian Blackman, the Jags receiver, Justin Blackman.
His name? Yeah,
Justin Blackman. He's still indefinitely suspended. Josh Gordon had a couple indefinite suspensions. It could be longer than a year. It would be at least a year. It could be 2, 3, 4 years. It could be forever. We don't know. If he is suspended for a year and you don't make playoffs, which I would safely bet that you're not going to, Jacoby Brissett, you kind of have no choice but to restart the rebuild because you can't just bank on him coming back on an indefinite suspension. If you do, you're just going to be stuck in this purgatory of going 6-11 and not having first-round picks. You're just setting yourself back another 10 years. So that no matter what, if he's suspended any longer than the 6 games, they're in trouble.
Yeah, and I think Calvin Ridley really scratching his head with the ruling that the judge made, only 6 games.
I don't understand that.
Especially with Calvin Ridley, he wasn't even with the team when he was making the bets. But I do got to say the one thing we do got to remember while going into this might be a longer process than we hope because Deshaun Watson did say that he will be suing the NFL if they try to go for a year. And on initial reports, that's the least they're trying for. So,
yep.
Going to be a long haul here, but let's now go to the Miami Dolphins as they were tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady. We've heard the story before. We talked about it on the WNP podcast a couple episodes ago. And I got to say, if you're tampering with 2 guys for that long and still fumble the bag, that's something only the Miami Dolphins would do.
Yeah. It's just, it really is incredible. Shout out, Johnny.
Yeah, shout out, Johnny.
But it's just... I can't believe it was true. I legitimately can't believe that these rumors came out. You hear these types of rumors, not necessarily like this, but you hear types of ridiculous rumors all the time that just end up, you never learn the truth about it. I can't believe we learned the truth this quickly. It's incredible that a team actually tried doing this and failed so miserably. It's really embarrassing. And at the end of the day, I think this should be more of a thing where you don't punish the potential NFL player. You don't, because now you're moving this first round pick. You're just removing an extra player from getting more guaranteed money in the NFL. That's what it does at the end of the day. The first round draft picks, they get this guaranteed money, a lot more money, and you're just removing that opportunity for a player. And to only suspend the owner from till mid-October, that doesn't do anything. Just in this circumstance, just fine the owner $50 million and call it a day. Why are you going to punish a potential player? It makes no sense to me.
See, I think different perspectives here. You're just going after the owner. I think the first and the third that was taken from the Miami Dolphins might not be enough just because I'm thinking right now, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, shit, only a first and a third? Let me go talk to Justin Jefferson. See if he wants to come back over, talk a little football with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. If that's all with the best quarterback of all time, the GOAT, and then Sean Payton, who is a very, very good head coach, has a huge legacy behind him. Just a first and a third? What's Justin Jefferson going to run me? A fourth? I feel like more precedent needs to be set.
It's not based on the player you're tampering with.
No, I know, but if that's the biggest punishment, I mean, what within the NFL business world, obviously we're not taking into account Deshaun Watson stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to the NFL business world, what's worse than tampering with a head coach of another team and the greatest quarterback of all time that is also on another team, talking with them through seasons, through the playoffs, all of that? What's worse than that?
I would say commanding your arena workers to attack your fans would probably be worse.
Okay, but
What about gambling on your team to win when you're not playing?
That's
true.
criminal.
Wait,
True.
Come on.
Criminal.
$1,500 on top of that. That's
Jail time.
literally that's one that they make that in one snap.
These guys are
Like-
disgusting. These guys are disgusting.
so
That's like one of us doing a $5 parlay. Like, come on.
yeah, absolutely wild out of the Miami Dolphins. I'm curious, if they didn't fumble the bag so hard, what would the team look like? I mean, obviously, we know with Brady and Peyton, it would look very different, but some people out there are Tua believers. In this scenario, you wouldn't need to be because you got Tommy B.
I love how three of us immediately shook our heads here.
We are not. The answer to
no.
that question is no.
I didn't even put that on my hot takes list because I knew everyone was going to agree.
Oh yeah, this would be a waste of our times. That's too funny. But in reality, I mean, they'd be getting a actual quality NFL quarterback, and I mean, Tom Brady has just been, like, he takes his team to the playoffs. So pretty much every single year he's been in the NFL, been starting. So you'd have to assume that, you know, give him another 3, 4, 5 wins on the year because it just seems like he commands that.
Mm-hmm. I feel you there. All right, let's get into fantasy hot takes, shall we?
Yeah, why not?
The main event of the evening.
Oh, almost forgot.
Okay.
Fun fact about every forfeited pick, like
Yes.
penalty in the NFL, Tom Brady has been involved in every single one. So the taping for the Patriots got in trouble for videotaping in 2008, 2009, Deflategate, and then now this.
Oh.
Here's my question. Why didn't the Patriots lose a first-round pick when they were taping the Bengals sideline?
No one cares about the Bengals.
Well, some of us do now.
No.
No. Yeah. No. All right, fantasy hot take and debate. This can be a fun one. We're going to let Chase go first. Take it off. You're going to give us your hot take in regards to fantasy, of course.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with one. It's definitely considered a hot take, but it's far from something just so ridiculously spicy. Trey Lance, I will safely say he will finish as a top 4 quarterback in the league this year. You know, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to be some world-breaking passer by any means. He's not going to go out there and have a Patrick Mahomes 50 passing touchdown type season, but the rushing upside that he offers is just so large in this offense that the 49ers are going to run with him at quarterback too. Think of how Lamar's used. It's going to be pretty similar with a little more emphasis on throwing than just straight running, but he's got legitimate 1,000-yard rushing potential. It's there. He's got legitimate double-digit touchdown potential as a rusher. It's there. On top of being able to potentially throw anywhere from 25 to 30 touchdowns, I mean, that right there, it's pretty much going to guarantee you a spot in the top 4 for quarterbacks. So I will safely say that Trey Lance will be a top 4 quarterback this year.
Confidence on that. What do you think?
9 out of 10.
All right. You guys have a thought on Trey Lance here?
I mean, I'll go. I thought I was going a little bit crazy. I thought I was going to get some flack for it, but he's in there, and I put him at 8 on my QB rankings for this year. So I don't think it's that hot. I don't think it's hot, but I think there's a clear cut 4 or 5 guys I'm taking above him no matter what.
Sure.
And so like for this, the confidence. I mean, I don't hate the take. It was what I'm saying, but like for me, I'm putting that at like a 4 out of 10. I wouldn't stamp that.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Lance on the 49ers, that offense, I think this is a good take. Like, I think any other offense, I would not take that. But, I mean, I got 2 guys in mind already. Josh Allen, Herbert. 2 guys already over that. There's just one more player that is better, let's say, better than him, and then everyone else is be worse. I think that's pretty hot, though. Like, just that in general as a rookie quarterback coming in.
Second-year quarterback.
Oh, okay.
It's still kind of a rookie.
Right.
Yeah,
kind of a rookie in that sense.
I get it.
He had a few snaps, but
Yeah.
kind of hot. I like top 8. Top 8 I feel more comfortable with, but top 4 I get like a 4 to 4 or 5.
Can you tell me one thing who you have above him and like who you have just below him 5, 6?
So it's Josh Allen is my QB1 on the year, and Justin Herbert is my QB2. My QB3 I do have is Lamar Jackson, and then the QB5 and 6. I really am kind of between it being Joe Burrow, Dak, and Patrick Mahomes. Like really any of those guys.
All right. I'll agree with that. But just don't put Dak in there, please.
I think he's gonna be forced to just run the ball more this year. So that's really the problem. What are you guys staring at?
My brother. I'm not sure what. Okay.
So with regards to him and Josh Allen, what do you think their rushing yards like? Are they comparable? Like, does Trey Lance is going to be rushing more? Because I feel like he's going to get more rushing yards.
Yes, I think Trey Lance will outrush Josh Allen by potentially double the yardage, but Josh Allen's going to throw 20 more touchdowns. Like that you can safely bet on that. So that's what's really going to help him on top of still being an 8 to 9 touchdown guy. Where Josh Allen, he runs the ball, but he's not necessarily a yardage guy where he's just so dominant running in the red zone. He's hard to take down. Whereas Trey Lance is someone who's going to do more what Lamar does and have design QB runs where he's going to get more open space and, take advantage of really that midfield range. So I would expect a pretty heavy rushing, yardage. I would expect at least at the bare minimum 700 yards if he plays the full season.
My biggest concern for Trey Lance is just those touchdowns because I just have a feeling with 17 San Francisco running backs, the random undrafted guy this year is going to get 5. Elijah Mitchell's going to get 4. So it's like,
sure,
how many touchdowns can they get with all their running backs getting a handful each? That's what my concern is, his touchdown upside with his rushing and throwing.
Sure.
Have you considered, though, what the 49ers have started a new running back for, 5 years in a row? Like, we've never had a consistent fantasy running back. Have you considered that this year's the year that they don't even have one at all? Have you considered
Trey Lance is their running back?
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying is they have Debo and they have Ayuk. I mean, I think outside of those 3 guys on offense, I don't want anyone else on that team. I mean, George Kittle, but I don't want any of their running backs. I don't think any of them are going to get the red zone touches. I think they have a dynamic enough offense where they're going to use their running back to switch it up. It's not going to be the norm.
Yeah, I do. A big part of this is I think it's more of a QB-centered offense and a more running back offense than it has been in the previous years. I think that Kyle Shanahan has to make that adjustment now.
See, I would love to give this like a 1 or a 2, but I'm going to give it a 3. Just because I do believe in Trey Lance's ability, but anyone that watches the show knows that I am much lower on Trey Lance than Chase here. And I said multiple times that I think this year's for Trey Lance is going to be like his rookie year. Like, he's not going to go out there and explode, but he's not going to have a terrible year or anything. Also, I've heard so many mixed things within training camp in the 49ers camp. It's wild. I've heard he's struggling tremendously, but I've also heard him and Brandon Ayuk, just a crazy connection, going to be unreal. There's so many things that are going all over the place for me that I don't really know, but I think I agree with these guys. It's that top 4 ranking. Not going to get behind that. Could he be a QB1? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the top 4, I'll give that a 3.
Keep in mind training camp. If it's something positive, then yeah, you use it. If it's negative, you throw it out. Doesn't matter.
Is that how it goes, or is it the other way?
No.
I'm going to be honest. As soon as you you could see 5 bad things. As soon as you see one good thing,
it's all washed
write
out.
off off the 5 bad things immediately.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That one-handed catch. Oh my God, he's going to do that 10 times. He's going to every time.
It's like Vasher, Tony Vasher, whatever. TJ Vasher with the Cowboys. He had 1 or 2 great catches where he mossed someone, and who put $20 on him? Davey put $20 on him.
Fab on him.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But, okay. Let's go with our second hot take. Do one of you guys want to jump in here, or?
I mean, if we want to continue with QBs, I can go with the QB take.
Sure, let's do it.
Why not?
All right. So I have Justin Fields finishing as a top 6 fantasy QB this year.
Ooh.
Hence the Bears jersey. Okay.
But this is totally aside. Like, I am a big Justin Fields fan. I'm a big Darnell Mooney fan, but I put him at 6. I think with the rushing upside, you can't put him at 4. I think there's a clear-cut 4, and you can't disrespect Mahomes. So that's why I put him there at 6. I have him above Fields. I have him above Burrow, and I have him above Kyler Murray. I have 9-10.
Okay, that's I don't hate. I don't love. First of all, do you have a confidence rating on that 1 out of 10 for yourself?
10.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all
10 out of 10.
All right, fair enough. And I don't hate it. I just don't love it because. Yeah, I like Darnell Mooney, but he's not really built to be a 150 target wide receiver. So when you start, really realizing you got to spread the ball a little more, Cole Kmet's not going to be an 100 target guy. If he is, his efficiency catching the ball is going to drop. N'Keal Harry is your wide receiver too. Awesome, that's great.
Hey, he is built for 150 though. Like, he's much bigger size.
Too bad he'll catch 60 of them.
Well, you took him second overall in a
yes, I did.
fantasy
That
draft.
was
That's why he's a little salty.
Yes,
about it,
very. I am very much a N'Keal Harry hater now. So I don't like the offense enough around him. Whereas I do like David Montgomery a ton as a rusher and a receiving option. So I think he's going to end up being like your fantasy hero from that team, Dave Montgomery is. So I'm going to call this more of a 2 to 3 out of 10, just because I can't get to 6. I could see a low end QB1 potentially, but I can't get to 6.
My issue is just I think it's a bad offense.
Yeah,
I think it's a bad offense. You're the spearheading a bad offense to be a top 6 QB.
I know, but you left
the name off the list. Matt Stafford. How is he? I don't think he's beating out Matt Stafford. How can he beat out Matt Stafford? His rushing, sure, but
Matt Stafford's never going to rush the ball. He's only going to pass it.
He doesn't need to. Cooper Kupp scores 3 touchdowns. Allen Robinson's going to score another 2.
Okay, but when you get in games and you're already up by 2 scores, guess what? You're not passing the ball. So what is Matthew Stafford going to do?
And not Trey Lance? What is Justin Fields going to do? He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to be throwing balls. He's going to be chucking balls down the field. That's what I think, but. I don't know. It's just a bad offense to go. I'm not going to talk bad on Justin Fields. I think he's a great quarterback, but the pieces around him are just not ideal.
I just feel like, unlike Trey Lance, he's gotten that rookie year out of the way with a horrendous coach, and they're going to restructure this offense. I just have a lot of faith in the Bears, and I just wanted to be able to put it here on the record. And, yeah.
Hey, I talked about Chase's that I would have liked to give it a 2, or a 1 or a 2, but I gave it a 3. I'd love to give yours like a 9.
There we go.
I'm a huge.
I told
you saw me.
it.
You saw me fist pump when you were talking about Trey Lance. I thought you were going to come in and slip in, but I'm a much bigger believer in Justin Fields.
Yeah,
and you didn't do it, so it kind of let me down a little bit.
I'm a big Justin Fields guy, and the fact that it's top 6 instead of top 4, love it even more. So for that reason, I'm gonna go a 4 instead of a 3.
All right,
4 instead of a 3.
Hey, we'll take it. 4 plus 10, 14 out of 20. We're taking 70% average.
So, hey, I think that Khalil Herbert, who wasn't mentioned, I think he's going to have a bigger role too. I think Cole Kmet, if he's going to break out, it's got to be this year. So there's some pieces there that could help, but similar to what Giuseppe was saying, the offense overall, I'm not too confident in it. I just wish that they didn't have the offseason that they did. Like, if you go look at... Well, really only Zach Wilson and the Jets offseason, where they actually added offensive pieces. You love to see that. I mean, you could talk about the Jags signing a relevant wide receiver to that huge deal, but I think really only the Jets made a point to improve the offense around him. If the Bears took that type of approach, I'd be much happier.
It'd be a completely different story. I mean, if the Bears walk out with one of the good wide receivers in this draft, like something like that, just changes everything. That changed your whole offense. Like, it's just I can't back like N'Keal Harry as your number 2.
Right.
Like, Mooney as your 1 is almost debatable for me too. Like, I don't know if he's a number 1 wide receiver.
I mean, how? I don't understand how you guys can say he's not built for 150 targets. I mean, the dude had Andy Dalton throwing to him. He had 1,100 yards. I mean,
are you disrespecting the Red Rifle,
dude?
In this household,
I'll do it. I'll say it again, and I'll stare in the camera as I say it. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, please.
All right, Andy Dalton is trash, dude. If the fact that he was even close to 1,000, let alone exceed 1,000 yards, is come on.
Hey, I like Darnell Mooney. I think he's in the same atmosphere as like a T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins can be a dominant wide receiver too. I think he'd be a good wide receiver 1, not a great wide receiver 1. I think Darnell Mooney could be similar.
And Darnell Mooney's going to be better off breaking off big plays and, using his agility and elusiveness in space where, like Michael Thomas, when he had the 149 catch season, he was getting a lot more shorter routes and then going from there. Like Darnell Mooney, he just, that amount of targets, he's so small, it's going to beat the hell out of him.
What Chase is saying is he's going to have a bunch of 80-yard touchdowns, so he won't need that many catches.
Yeah,
that's what Chase is saying.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right, I see what you're saying.
Exactly.
All right, Zap, you want to hop into your first hot take of the night?
You want QB still?
Whatever you want to do.
I mean, I think mine's pretty interconnected to both of these. That's kind of why I want to go with the QBs.
Sure.
So, you guys know the starting quarterbacks from the 2021 rookies. All the starting quarterbacks, we got Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance already mentioned, Justin Fields just mentioned, Mac Jones is Davis Mills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying Trevor Lawrence will finish below every single one of those quarterbacks on that list this season.
Ooh. Wow.
That is a bit toasty. You got a confidence there for you?
My confidence, I think it's 7. I'm going to say a 7.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with my 1 confidence. That's just not happening.
You don't think so?
No, I watched the talent of Trevor Lawrence and I watched the talent of Mac Jones, and they're just 2 quarterbacks in different stratospheres, and Trevor Lawrence is the significantly more talented quarterback. Sure, Mac Jones has that NFL-ready playing style where he could come in and be solid. Davis Mills way outperformed expectations, and I'm a big Davis Mills fan, but I can't even fathom putting him below those two. Sure, the offense isn't super exciting, but the offensive line did improve. They're a year older. They added in free agency. They have Travis Etienne hopefully coming back and can bring back that connection that they had those last couple of years at Clemson. And sure, Christian Kirk isn't worth the money, but nonetheless, he's at minimum a solid NFL receiver who's worthy of getting targets, worthy of getting snaps. On top of Marvin Jones, who is one of the league's most underrated wide receivers and pretty much always has been, there's enough talent around there for Trevor Lawrence to succeed, and I just can't see where he's going to fail. I really can't.
My biggest concern was obviously Davis Mills. Like, I think Mac Jones I think he can surpass him this year. Like, I think he has enough weapons. I think Devontae Parker's just as good, if not better, than Christian Kirk.
I think Devontae Parker's lucky to be rostered in the NFL.
Really?
I think he's terrible.
Oh, my God.
I've always thought he's terrible, in all fairness.
Question. You think that Christian Kirk is worse than DJ Chark? I mean, I think that their offense got worse. I think I'd rather have James Robinson and Travis Etienne. I mean, unfortunately, James Robinson was in the doghouse for what unknown reasons why they had Carlos Hyde getting more snaps. I mean, I think their offense got worse on top of it. I'm going to double down on I'm going to give his confidence a 10 out of 10. I think he's the worst quarterback of all of those guys, and I don't like Mac Jones.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, that's fine. You can stare at the camera and keep your straight face.
I don't look at the camera.
You don't ever look at the camera?
Very rarely.
I'm saying I think that he's going to be like, if I had to rank the QBs, and he's like 28. He's like 28 out of all the QBs in the NFL fantasy.
It was really cool having you on the podcast for the last time.
No problem. You really believe in? I mean, he looked horrible last year. You think that he's going to make that big of a jump his second year?
I know casual fans like you stopped watching the Jags, halfway through the season.
I did. I have a Jags.
Who was watching?
First off, I watched.
Me, big Jags fan here.
I like the Jags. I like Laviska Shenault. Like I watched the Jags almost all of their games. I like James Robinson. Like this is. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is good by any means.
The team was night and day better once Urban Meyer got fired, and Trevor Lawrence looked significantly better. His efficiency improved a hell of a ton. He looked more confident. He was, at the end of the day, thrown into the worst scenario a rookie quarterback could ever be thrown into with that joke of a team, and he's got to recover, and he has the pure ability to do it. If you say he's the least talented of those guys, like that's just flat out wrong.
I don't think he's the least talented. Personally, I think Mac Jones is a system QB. I don't think he possesses any like flashy talent whatsoever. However, I think that he's in a much better situation, and we're talking fantasy. We're not talking about talent, and we're also like your team plays a big factor whether you're gonna be good in fantasy or not, and that team blows. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be better than you think it is.
I mean, we talked about.
You think? Wait. Question. You think that the Jags are gonna be better than the Bears?
Yeah, that's not even a question.
Do we want to make a bet?
He said
I will
love
bet
to make a bet.
anything you want on that.
We can talk offline.
Okay.
doesn't want it on there.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know why I'm giving it a 2.
Good man. Because you're a good man. That's why.
Because I think that we're kind of missing the big point in this conversation, and that is, we're comparing him to Mac Jones a lot. He also said Davis Mills.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Davis Mills.
Hey, Davis Mills is elite though. Watch yourself.
No, he's not. No, he's not. And that Texans offense might be the worst offense in the NFL. So I think that it's just not going to happen that Trevor Lawrence will be lower than Davis Mills for me. I think 5 is his absolute lowest, but I've got confidence that he's going to take a step back here, just take a step forward. Not take a step back, but
confidence is even worse than last year.
Forward. I got you.
He's got to step back in the pocket.
One step back, 7 forward. I could very well see him being the 4th or even the 3rd, but I still have a lot of confidence in the 2 guys we mentioned before and Zach Wilson both taking bigger steps than Trevor Lawrence does. So
Zach Wilson's biggest benefit's going to be the receivers around him, like absolutely.
Yeah.
But just like in terms of pure ability, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence over Zach Wilson every day of the week.
Sure.
So it really depends how much of that, Patrick Mahomes type of talent can he have where like Patrick Mahomes can legitimately carry a team. It's really going to, we didn't get an opportunity to see it last year. We're going to see it a lot more this year. And if he does fail, then, we got to start asking ourselves those questions. But I am not anywhere near ready to write him off yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you haven't written him off yet, and I know you said, thanks for coming on, never going to have me again. At the end of the season, when he does do horrific,
we'll have you back on.
We'll have you back on, but I think that the fact that you just compared Trevor Lawrence to Patrick Mahomes, he's closer to like a Ryan Tannehill, dude.
That's incorrect because
That's not incorrect.
Ryan Tannehill was a receiver in college.
It doesn't
He
matter.
has no business being an NFL quarterback.
It doesn't matter what you do in college. We've seen that plenty of times again. It matters what you do in the league.
And Ryan Tannehill hasn't done shit.
That proves my point. He's closer to Tannehill than
Trevor Lawrence is 22 years old.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm saying it's like, can he have a Patrick Mahomes ability? Like, can he have it? I don't know. We'll see. But the talent, like him and Tannehill couldn't lick his left toe.
I think both of your guys' comparisons are quite off right now. When we want to look at long-haired failure quarterbacks for the Jags, Blaine Gabbert.
He's not Blaine Gabbert. Stop.
Hey, I'm not saying that he is, but after his first year,
there's
some reminiscence.
Blaine Gabbert was great until he lost all the magic cutting his hair off. Until Trevor Lawrence cuts his hair off, I'm not writing him off.
Remember when Justin Herbert sucked for a little bit towards the end of 2 seasons ago?
His short hair.
Yeah.
Cut his hair.
Don't cut your hair, folks.
Do not cut your hair on NFL quarterbacks.
All right, let's hop into my first hot take here. It doesn't have to do with a quarterback, but it does have to deal with a second-year player. And that's going to be the fact that Kyle Pitts will be the tight end 1 this year.
You took my second one.
That's too bad. I took it. He will be the tight end 1 this year. He was the 6 in PPR last year, the 9 in standard, over 1,000 yards. Only 1 touchdown. That's not going to happen again. Like, let's be honest. And then also when we look at Marcus Mariota and when he started, when he had a little tight end named Delaney Walker posted the 3, the 5, and the 6 tight end spot over his 3 seasons with Marcus Mariota. So Mariota loves to target the tight end. Kyle Pitts has been dominant in camp. He was great his rookie year. Didn't have the touchdowns. There's no way he doesn't get at least 2 touchdowns this year. I think the only reason it's spicy is because I'm saying it's the one.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. What's your number?
17 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh, well, I didn't know you'd do better than 10.
Yeah, in reality, I am calling this one an 8 out of 10. I like it a lot.
Because of his number?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And this was one that I talked about. It's hard to say that he's just gonna automatically overtake a Travis Kelce, who lost his only other real competition in that Kansas City offense. So it's hard to say that, but I do think he's just the best pure receiving tight end in the NFL. And obviously, it's bold to say that after one single season, but just if you watch the guy play, he really is just like a Calvin Johnson type of talent playing the tight end position. It's maybe he's not the same type of ceiling as Calvin, but he, in terms of like being a dominant tight end, I mean, it's pretty much locked and loaded at this point. Last year, obviously playing with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been one of the worst red zone quarterbacks in NFL history, just over an entire career. It's if you go look at the numbers, it's pretty clear. And Mariota, him or Desmond Ridder, whichever one's going to be playing, if Ridder's going to play at any point, both guys offer enough rushing upside where the team's got to guess a little bit more if they're going to run or throw. So when they do decide to throw, it'll leave the receiving options a bit more open. And Kyle Pitts is always going to be a matchup nightmare. So I could easily see those double-digit touchdowns this year. So I am a big fan of this one.
I mean, I don't hate the take. I think that 1 does make it hot, but I just don't see that happening. I don't see him surpassing Travis Kelce. I think that Mark Andrews is clearly going to finish above him. If you said 3, I'd probably give you more of like a 7 range, but I also think I would rather have Darren Waller. And for the reason that they just got Devonta Adams, I think that offense gets a lot better. I think that's another person that's going to draw a double team, and I think that Waller might potentially eat in the red zone. And so even at 3, I'm not loving it. If you say 4, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, he'll be a top 4 tight end.
I'm going to say a 4 out of 10 because of where he was drafted instead of his number.
Okay.
I like it. I do like it. I want to say top 4 easy. I don't know. I mean, he should be. I mean, if you're any NFL quarterback and you have Kyle Pitts on your team, you're throwing to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely. Like, you should throw to him every single time. He's an insane talent. But that touchdown number does concern me last season. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think he's going to get double-digit touchdowns from after a 1-touchdown season? Like, how does that change, like, instantly?
I don't know if it gets double digits, like Chase said, but 6 to 8 touchdowns I think is easy. I think Matt Ryan, like Chase said, terrible in the red zone. You look at Julio Jones. Like, how many times was he getting touchdowns? He just wasn't. He was getting all the yardage, but couldn't actually score.
He was legitimately like a 6-touchdown guy every single year while being arguably the best receiver in the league.
And I think that Kyle Pitts is a guy that's going to be phenomenal in the red zone. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the speed. He's also going to be a guy that can break off, 40-yard runs after the catch. I don't see there being, I would put a ton of money on it that he makes, or he has more than 4 touchdowns. Like, I think easily.
I mean, that's pretty loaded as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, I don't think
Easily.
I don't think it's without a question. I mean,
He's going to lead the team both yards and touchdowns. Like I can safely say that.
Plus, with Michael Pittman on the other side, kind of like how you like Darren Waller getting Devontae Adams on the other side. Not Michael Pittman, excuse me.
I was supposed to say Drake London.
Yeah, Drake London.
Another USC guy.
He has been absurd in training camp. I don't know if you guys have seen all the clips, but he's been going off. So if you can have 2 dominant forces on either side, and Kyle Pitts isn't going to be playing strictly inside, off the line type of tight end. He's going to be played a lot in the slot, and I could even see him lining up outside. So I think he's just going to be their best offensive threat. He's going to be awesome.
100% agree. So
Chase.
Back to me?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You're going to like this one, Mike. You're going to love this one.
Can't wait.
The Cincinnati Bengals will have 5 players finish in the top 8 of their respective positions. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and Hayden Hurst.
Oh, Hayden Hurst.
I love the Hayden Hurst shout out. I love
Absolutely.
it. I am on board with that.
So,
by the way.
so keep in mind that the top 6 tight ends in terms of fantasy, that's where the elite category stops.
Yep.
7 through 30, it's all just the same player.
Yeah.
It's literally all just the same player in terms of production. So Hayden Hurst could easily be a guy who just happens to get enough touchdowns and enough targets where he ends up right there. So that's the guy I'm least confident on. But when you look at the seasons that obviously Joe Mixon had finishing as RB4 last year, Jamar Chase finishing as was he wide receiver 2 something like that or
I think so.
Yeah. So and then T. Higgins was a little bit lower, but he really started catching on at the end of the season once Jamar Chase started really getting a lot more looks. It's just gonna be too hard to contain this offense. They're gonna be just, in my opinion, I don't see how they're not at worst a top 3 scoring offense in the league, if not the number 1. They have the best wide receiver duo in my opinion. They have a top 5 running back talent, the absolute worst. They have, in my opinion, a top 3 talented quarterback. It's just everything's lined up so perfectly for this Bengals team to be an absolute wagon for fantasy football. So whatever you're doing, draft them. And I safely ranking this one confidence 10 out of 10.
Facts.
I love that. I love that. I love the Hayden Hurst shout out too, because I think that's such an underrated move by the Bengals this offseason. Like, I love Hayden Hurst. I liked it when he played for the Ravens. He didn't get a chance behind Mark Andrews, but this is the perfect offense for him to break out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the guy I will take a shot on late in a draft and pick Hayden Hurst because, I mean, who are you going to stop? You're going to stop T. Higgins? You're going to stop Jamar Chase? You're going to stop Mixon? I mean, you got to leave someone open.
Yep.
Hayden Hurst is going to eat. Like, Joe Burrow's going to find Hayden Hurst every single play. I'm very confident in this. Like, I think the toughest one, honestly, would be T. Higgins. I mean, just to get 2 top 8 guys on the same team is pretty tough.
So if you look back in fantasy football, I think it's like 8 out of the last 10 years, there's been a team that has featured at least 2 wide receiver 1, so that's 2 guys in the top 12. So it's it's a bit bold to specify top 8, but I don't see how he doesn't lead the team in touchdowns on top of being at minimum a 1,000-yard receiver.
Sure.
Higgins was 17 last year. When you look at standard format, when you look at full PPR, he's 24.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I think it's just the double-digit touchdowns are just locked and loaded. I think this team, like Joe Burrow, could be a 50 passing touchdown guy this year. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's impossible.
It seemed like there was a lot of happiness going on over here, but over there it seemed like there might have been some unbelief or non-belief in this one. What do you think, Buckles?
I love the first 4. I just don't like Hayden Hurst. But
Okay.
Boo.
The one thing is you have to consider there's only so much ball to go around. That's my only concern. I am fully in on the Bengals. My dynasty team, I have Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Like, I'm invested in the Bengals, and I would love to see T. Higgins be a wide receiver 1. I know I got some flack for that when I talked to someone about that earlier.
Well, I would love it too. I mean,
he was just like
shares.
he was looking.
Which we're gonna talk about that after the show.
Yeah. Okay. I you already got like projected for 180 points. What more do you want?
Hey, you guys thought you were coming over for a podcast. You were coming over for Chase's
it's
trading.
trade talks.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do some stuff like that too.
Yeah.
You got to make it happen. Some people just, you got to lure them over.
Wheeling dealing, baby.
I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 as well because, Chase, you said that I took your Kyle Pitts one. My Bengals one was the top 5 Bengals players when it comes to point totals will outscore the rest of the league when it comes to their top 5. So whether that be Hayden Hurst or Tyler Boyd at that 5 spot,
that's fair.
It was going to outscore everyone else. So
Jamar Chase might outscore the whole league. So
Does that mean that the Bengals are the number one fantasy offense? Clear cut, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no other team in question. Because if you're making this take, then you should be able to say that with confidence.
I think Tampa's in question, but I believe 100%.
There's only two teams that could have a legitimate argument, and that would be Tampa Bay and the LA Chargers. You can't say the Bills because of the running back situation. You just don't know, and you can't say the Chiefs again running back position. You just don't know.
And I feel like the Chargers are 3 deep compared to the Bengals. Yeah. If you want to include Hayden Hurst and Tyler Boyd, you got 6 deep there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, anyways, Buckles, you ready for your second one?
Can we switch it over to someone else if they're ready?
Yeah.
Zap, you want to go?
Yeah. I'm gonna go running back.
Okay.
I'm gonna go someone that is on Chase's team.
Oh,
It's easy to go after Chase's players.
Because I got so many good ones.
No.
Whoa.
he goes no.
RB5 last season.
Okay.
18 touchdowns. It's a lot of touchdowns.
It definitely is a few for James Conner.
It's James Conner. I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's been injury prone in the past. That already is, throwing me off a little bit. The Arizona offense just took 2 big hits with Hopkins suspended, and then Marquise Brown. I mean, he's in jail or whatever. But I mean, that's pretty. He got arrested.
I can't imagine he gets suspended.
I don't think so either. But let's just say that. I don't think they're gonna have that many opportunities in the red zone as they did last season. I mean, I feel like they're always ended up within 5 yards. That's just like luck at that point to have always be 5 yards away from a touchdown, not finishing the play, not scoring that touchdown, and giving James Conner the opportunity. Like, I can't see him getting 12 touchdowns. I can't see I feel like 10 is okay because he's a good running back. But I think James Conner will finish outside the top 25 running backs this season.
Why is 25 your cutoff? Call it 24.
I don't know.
25 is the RB beginning of the RB3 tier.
Right. But I think it'll be 25 or lower. How about that?
I can live with that. And I'm going to give you a 3 out of 10 just because there's no other running back in that group that I like Keontae Ingram's talent, but at the end of the day, 6th-round pick. They're not going to trust him. There's just no other running back they're going to give carries to as long as he stays healthy. So he's going to benefit from, like Najee Harris last year. Obviously, he saw a ridiculous amount of targets that he won't see, but he only had a 3.9 average. He finished safely as an RB1 because he got so much work. And I think it's pretty similar to James Conner.
Well, I think Darrell Williams' signing is not to be overlooked either. I mean, he played a lot for the Chiefs. I mean, they had confidence in this guy. Why wouldn't the Cardinals have the same amount of confidence? And Edmonds played a lot last season.
Can I answer that question?
He's better than Edmonds.
Because Cliff Kingsbury is a terrible coach.
So they're just going to give James Conner the ball every down. He's going to play every single snap, and he's going to break his leg.
Maybe.
You can't play James Conner that much.
No, it's fair, but I've questioned a lot of what Cliff has done. And, I called hot take last year that he was going to be fired, and in season
you were wrong.
I was wrong, but I think it's safe to call it again this year because it's just I just don't like him, and I don't think he makes the best decisions. And he is the one running that offense, and I think it was pretty evident last year how much he'd like James Conner. So I think he's just going to get defaulted those carries again.
Hey, I know this is a fantasy hot take show. I'm just going to put one out there anyways, though. I think it's more likely we see Brandon Staley get fired than we do Cliff Kingsbury. Bam. They lose they come in 4th in that division. They don't make playoffs again. Get him out.
That's fair. That sucks.
That seems way too talented.
Yeah, that is fair. If he would have just taken the tie and made the playoffs last year, would have been just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just take the tie.
All right. Well, back to Zap's take. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I agree with the volume. It's going to be there. That's why I can't go super high with it. But 6 out of 10, pretty good. I think him and his 18 touchdown season is just like Kyle Pitts and his 1 touchdown season.
Yep.
It's just such an extreme that I know it's not going to happen again. It's going to come much more closer to the middle. And I personally have never been a James Conner fan. Anyone that's watched the show, anyone that's played fantasy football with me will know that. I would not be shocked if he's getting 50% or less of the touches by the time.
That's what I'm thinking.
By the time week 12 rolls around.
Maybe if he tears his ACL by week 8, and then that would happen. But if he's healthy and he's going, he's getting 70% of the running back touches.
I just don't have that confidence in him.
I already think Keontae Ingram's a better running back.
I don't necessarily disagree, but he's still a 6th-round pick, and they don't give those guys opportunities in the NFL. They have a bad historic trend of just not trusting your day 3 picks, and he'd have to luck into getting those touches because of injuries. So I don't think he's a threat for those touches right away. I mean, we saw this a couple years ago. Remember Darwin Thompson season, 6th-round pick, all this hype, and
some people were on the Darwin Thompson train.
Yeah, that's fair, like me. And so I will not be fooled ever again by a late round running back.
Who was the Dolphins running back that everyone was on as well? The guy who was like 6'4", like 260, really fast as well. Gosh, what's his name?
Shoot,
it was just like 2 years ago. Everyone was on it. Whatever.
That's how relevant he was, because he was forgotten after preseason.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he got traded for like a second or a first in our league too. So,
but by the way, my confidence on that is a 2. I don't know if I said that.
Buckles, your thoughts on James Conner?
I'm more with Chase. I think my confidence on that is like 3 out of 10. I'd say it's likely. I think 18 touchdowns is for sure an anomaly. I don't see him ever recreating that. And I think their offense got worse. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is suspended. They have Rondale Moore. Like, I mean, is he really gonna? And Zach Ertz. I mean, outside of that, what do they have?
Watch your. If you're trying to disrespect Rondale Moore, watch your mouth.
Yeah,
I'm not disrespecting him, but dude, they have
me up.
I love every team needs a Yoda-like player. We get that, but you have him at QB. You don't need another midget at wide receiver. Like, I'm sorry.
One Yoda player per team.
I mean, yeah. Everyone. You need that guy to lead the squad, but like, come on, like they have 2 of them. I mean,
lead the squad. I will.
He's like Jenny from the league. An absolute heightist.
Yes, he is.
But,
I mean, I don't see it happening.
Josh
what I'm
Allen
saying is, with the
Hell yeah, baby.
with 18 touchdowns being an anomaly, I have invested in Ingram. I drafted him in my dynasty league. I see James Conner falling off. I don't see him falling out of the RB2 category though. I think that's a bit disrespectful. As many years as I said, wow, James Conner does not look good on film. James Conner does no part about his game looks good. Every single year, as far as a fantasy outlook, the dude's produced.
He's efficient.
You literally can't deny it. The dude has been a good fantasy RB almost every season that he wasn't hurt.
Can I name some names that I think that will be over him?
I'm not fist bumping you for that.
No, I was but
Can I some names on this board? Let's say Leonard Fournette. Okay, like he's Kamara. When he starts to play, I think he'll surpass him if he doesn't get suspended for the whole season.
If he is suspended 4 to 6 games, that's enough
he'll still pass Connor.
If he's suspended for 6 games, I will
4
say
games.
4 games maybe.
4 games. He will.
I think that's a really fun bet to look at is Alvin Kamara with the suspension compared to James Conner. I think that's super fun.
That is a fun
compare.
one.
Kamara would
I'm
pass
taking
him.
Kamara. Yeah.
Zeke,
No.
Akers,
No.
Montgomery.
Dude, Zeke, no.
Are you a Tony Pollard guy?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go.
Have you watched Cam Akers play football in the NFL?
Talk to him about it. I'm just saying he's
Dude,
going to be
these
better
are all
than
you
James
guys are saying
Conner.
all these guys on my team. This
Antonio
is great.
Gibson, Brees Hall.
What the heck?
Well, I'm just naming guys that are on the cusp.
No,
right
I
there.
was just saying you kept
ETN,
naming guys
like,
on my team.
Miles Sanders, I think, will be better than him.
No.
No,
He's just not good at football, dude.
no. Jalen Hurts is RB1. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is going to have the most carries in that backfield, obviously.
We'll see.
Jalen Hurts was what, top 8 QB, and he led the team in rushing yards. I mean, you think the Miles Sanders is just magically going to come out of nowhere when they get AJ Brown? I mean, he's going to be passing.
I think,
and
it's
if he
gotta
doesn't
be,
pass, he's going to run.
Yes.
I mean, they're not going to hand the ball off. There's no reason to.
Miles Sanders just needs to stay healthy for once.
Thank you.
If that happens, then maybe we could see something. I'm not saying he's going to be above
No,
James
you
Conner.
said,
but-
you said it. I heard you.
You know that this is the wrong Sanders jersey, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
I'm just checking.
All right, Mike, let's go to you for your second hot take, or you cool with that?
Yeah, we can go to me.
Okay. Let's do it.
This one's a little bit more of a question just because I want to gauge where you guys are at on
free.
your opinions on Jonathan Taylor. Is he clear-cut RB1 next year in fantasy? What are your guys' opinions?
Well, I have him as my RB2 next year in fantasy because CMC is going to be the RB1 as long as he plays.
I'd say he's my RB1.
If I'm selecting at 101 in a redraft, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me too.
My take is that he's not a top 3 running back next year.
Okay.
And here's my reason. They have a significant upgrade at QB. I do not like Matt Ryan by any means, but you have to agree that he is a much better passer than their previous 2 QBs. And that leads me to believe that Nyheim Hines is going to eat in the passing game. Michael Pittman Jr. is a league winner next year. I think that their passing game gets so much better than Jonathan Taylor loses a lot of value.
See, I can kind of get with you. To say he's not a top 3, I think that's fine. I'm going to call this one at the end of the day a 5 out of 10 because I think he's guaranteed an RB1 as long as he stays healthy. Like there's just no chance he's outside of that range. But we've already heard that Nyheim Hines is being looked at to get more work, and it's going to be more of an efficient passing offense. It's not going to be just relying on Jonathan Taylor for a ton of touches. I mean, even when you look at his like fantasy points per game, like he played every game last year. Like that doesn't happen with the running back. So his points per game were a bit lower compared to like Derrick Henry's, who were through the roof. So I very well could see a case, if a guy like CMC stays fully healthy, if we see like an Austin Eckler breakout, if we see Derrick Henry play a full season, yeah, I could absolutely see it. But he's still worthy of being the number 1 or 2 running back off your board because you can guarantee he will not be outside of the top 12 as long as he's healthy. I'm fine if you want to say he's not going to be top 3. I'll call it a 5 out of 10, like I said, because I would still probably bet that he would be a top 3.
I do want to say real quickly, the Miami running back was Kalen Balazs.
Yeah, it's Kalen Balazs, baby.
But I think that I give it a 4. Just
If it's not that hot, I'll lower because I think there are like 4 guys that I like.
Go ahead, say he won't be an RB1.
Okay, no, I'm not. I'm not an idiot. I'm going to come out here and put my makeup on, clown. Like that's not gonna happen, dude. Like
Chase does that enough, anyways.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I think that he is like excellent and he's going to continue to be really good, but just some running backs have really good years, and I think there's a good potential that 4 or 5 different names could all go above him, not because he had a bad season, but because they just had great seasons. Like I could see Joe Mixon finishing above Jonathan Taylor. I could see Austin Eckler finishing above Jonathan Taylor. CMC, obviously. Derrick Henry, if he can stay healthy and he doesn't regress, which I think he will.
Well, the injuries the injuries haven't been an issue before, but the regression is possible with that workord and that age. That's the only concern.
Well, the injury was an issue last year, so
because
it has been an issue before.
Injuries, injury. All right, sorry, Seth.
No, you're good. My biggest concern with that take is just the point difference from last year to this year. Like, I mean, we know John Taylor last year was unstoppable. He had an amazing year. But even if you give him some regression, he had 333 points last season. We talked about how he was healthy. Austin Eckler was number 2, 273. Then we had Joe Mixon, 245. Like, those guys are not even close to Jonathan Taylor. Mm-hmm. You take 1-2 games away from Jonathan Taylor, he's still the number 1 by a good margin. Like, Najee Harris was 100 points, and he was the 4th best running back last season. Mm-hmm. Like, that's 100 points that someone has to make up on him.
I know that's why this makes this take hot.
Oh, I
recognize the separation, but Kyle Pitts, we just talked about 1 touchdown. James Conner, 18 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, 330 fantasy points. What do all 3 of those have in common? They're an anomaly. There's no way that any of those recreate the following season, and so I just don't see it. I see that there are 3-4 guys that I think I even like more than him in this new offense.
No, the top 3 is just hot for me, like too hot for me. I want to give it like a 3 out of 10. But I agree, it's an anomaly. He had 18 touchdowns last season. That's a lot. He played every single game. He played every single snap. Like, that just doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah. I do got to say, I want to look at Christian McCaffrey and his history because obviously we know how dominant he was. Christian McCaffrey in 2019 put up 490 points. He was
that's absolutely ridiculous.
He was he was the number 1 in PPR, obviously, number 1 in standard as well.
You think?
His following season, he put up 403, 90 points off of his prior season. Still brought him in at number 2 in PPR. And actually, I had that reversed. So 2019 was his huge season. 2018 was his 2 in PPR season. So
who's 1?
Number 1, I'm guessing, was Saquon's rookie year.
Yes.
2 guys that just can't stay healthy. It's
or maybe Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Because Todd Gurley wasn't hurt too.
Todd Gurley.
Yeah. It was one of the 2.
Another guy that fell off, man. Naming like 3 guys all
dude.
fell off.
I know.
Injuries,
It's great. It's almost as if running backs aren't worth investing in the NFL.
Could say that. Except for Bijan Robinson next year. Let's go. All right. I'm going to stick with running backs here. And I'm going to say 3 rookie running backs will finish as RB1s this year.
Wow.
3 of them.
That's hot.
I'll tell you right off the rip.
What format?
Wait, say that again. Wait, restart. Say that again.
3 rookie running backs will finish as RB1s.
Standard, half, or full?
I'm more worried about what universe than format, but
let's go half. And I will say, I don't have the full stats in front of me, but over the last 12 years, there has been at least 1 rookie running back as a top 12 running back in fantasy. Over the past 6 years, 5 of those years had a rookie running back within the top 5. I think it's very likely that we see, obviously, at least 1. I could see it being 2 as well, and I'm going spicy and saying there's going to be 3. 4 names to look at is James Cook with the Bills, Breece Hall with the Jets, Kenneth Walker with the Seahawks.
It's Ken Walker.
Watch and yourself. Then
that's true.
Rashad White with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There's just no chance that Rashad White's going to be that high. As much as I'd love it, I've got him in both dynasty leagues that we're in together, and I'm a big Rashad White fan.
Have you seen Lenny's 290 pounds?
He's back down. He lost that 20 pounds. He's ready to go, and he's just, if he's on the field and healthy, like, it just takes too much work. I think Rashad White is an opportunity where he could see a bunch of targets and really get a nice kind of complimentary workload, but that's something that projects more as like a mid-range RB3, not an RB1. He'd really need Fournette to go down. Kenneth Walker would need Rashad Penny to just fall.
Rashad Penny's just not good.
Yeah,
he's not a good football player.
But his hamstrings aren't good. That's what's not good.
He actually is. If you look at his yards per carry in the NFL, he's been one of the better runners.
Yeah, because he has 4 carries.
He is one. He is truly.
I don't care about that.
He's a talented runner. He is someone where I'm not a big injury prone guy, but he's someone where you can safely say there's an injury prone label on him. So you got to hope that he goes out with injury for Kenneth Walker to be there. Breece, I'm going to safely say, yeah, I think that's kind of locked and loaded. So I'm giving this one a 1 out of 10 because I just think there's no chance. Should I give it a 0? I'll give it a 0.
Sure. Yeah, I was really ready with you. I'm giving it a 0 out of 10. I will guarantee I'll give you one guy that will be finished as an RB1, and it's not Breece.
Oh.
Who is?
I think that Cook will finish as the best rookie running back this year as far as fantasy goes.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's at least 2 right there that are going to be running back 1s.
So but where's the third?
Kenneth Walker.
I'm not going to be on the record
when Rashad Penny goes down.
I'm not going to be on the record hating on Ken, so I'm going to have to back down on this one, but I'm still going to give it a 0. I don't see that happening. I mean, do we want to name the guys? Like, who's falling out of that range that 3 people are going to go in?
They all fell off a cliff. That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
they're all falling.
Half of the league retired. They just don't want to play any longer.
Stop playing.
So, yeah.
I just think that you guys are thinking about, do they have the opportunity? Are they just flat out better than everyone else in their room? And I think that they are. Not Rashad White.
Yeah, I don't know.
I won't go there. But if I'm looking at 3 of the 4, definitely.
And James Cook's not a better just runner.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hype up Devin Singletary. Go ahead. Hype him up.
No,
saying Devin Singletary is a better runner.
He was on the Devin Singletary train for like 4 years.
Devin Singletary's last 6 games in the playoffs last year, he was very, very good. Yeah. He has earned that starting job back.
You know who else is very, very good in the playoffs? Gabriel Davis. You think he's a top 20 player this year?
I think he's a top 1 player this year.
Oh, hot take.
But it's just like they're talented, but there's so many talented NFL players that the situation around them that just doesn't allow them to be that, get that good of value. That's what I'm concerned with. Like Ken Walker, I mean, he's running behind Drew Lock. I mean, what? Like
he can throw it deep.
Yeah, not to Ken Walker. I just can't see that. James Cook, I mean, I could see RB2. Breece Hall, I think is RB1 potential for sure, but I don't know. It's too hot for me. I'll give it a 1 though. I'm not gonna say it's not possible. I'm not gonna give it a 0.
Right.
Because I do like the rookies having big years. It happens a lot. Mm-hmm. Rookies have big years. They're just ready to go. So I mean, I'm not gonna give it a 0, but I'll give it a 1.
There's also a decent chance I think that there's a running back I didn't mention that could be a part of it. And the take was that there would be 3 rookie running backs, not specifically those 4. So when I'm right, I'll just record a video of me L dancing in front of you guys. Is that okay?
All right, sure.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I got consent on that.
You got one more thing to say? Say it.
I was just going to say, I mean, they're bad teams. The Jets are bad. The Seahawks are going to be bad. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. I don't see that their running backs I don't see them propelling themselves into RB1 conversation.
I see that with the Seahawks. The Jets will be much better this year.
Okay, they'll be much better. You can't get worse. So even much better, you're not a playoff team. You're
much better in the fact that Chase has him above the Dolphins in his projections. And
I do too. I don't think the Dolphins are good.
Good man.
And we both have them at 7 wins, actually being very competitive. And
7 wins is competitive?
Is it not?
No. What did the Lions have? What did the Lions have last year?
3.
Oh. I thought it was more like 5 or 6 for some reason.
No, it felt like that because they were competitive.
Yeah, they
just couldn't convert it.
Yeah, they couldn't win.
Yeah.
I mean, They won against the spread, that's for sure. They were undefeated,
Dominant.
undefeated against the spread.
Yeah.
We just got to play with the handicap every game.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
All right, Chase, go ahead.
All right, so I'm skipping over two that they're not as, the one might be a little more spicy, but I'm gonna mention real quick. It was gonna be Saquon as a top 3 running back. Talent's there, so I just didn't think I'd get a great reaction. Gabe Davis, I was gonna say top 18, but
Oh, boy.
you know what's,
shot that down.
you know
That's
what's,
not that hot.
yeah, it's good man again. You know what's an even more fun one?
I'm with Mikey.
James Robinson will outscore Travis Etienne.
Let's go.
You did this one last year, which
And I was correct,
Well,
baby.
yeah, I mean, he wasn't.
Barely.
Was he wrong?
Barely.
Roll the tape.
But at the end of the day, James Robinson, if you watch him play football, he is a talented runner who has pass catching ability. And Doug Peterson has already said he is their starting running back. Like that's the case going into the season. As long as he's healthy and ready to go week 1, he's the starting running back. Etienne's going to have to take those rushes away from him. Sure, he's going to get a lot of passing work. I think we're going to see him more play that kind of like a Deebo Samuel type role, but more rushes than necessarily in the receiver game. I think he's going to run a lot of routes, but he's still going to get more carries compared to the targets, and that's going to be valuable. But I just think James Robinson is just so sturdy in the red zone and is such a hard guy to take down on that first contact that if he averages 4.5 a carry, he gets 200 carries on the year. I think that's going to top Etienne unless he ends up being like the go-to target for Trevor Lawrence.
I'm going to ask the same thing you asked me for the last one. What format are we talking about here?
We'll go. Why not? We'll go every single format.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, every single regular format between standard, half point, and full.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the full is really where it
yeah.
gets bold. Standard, I think, is very reasonable.
Sure,
half point is where you start asking questions. But
Yeah.
full point's definitely very bold.
Full is
Yeah.
bold.
So I'm gonna give a confidence rating for all 3 categories. For standard, I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. For half point, I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10, and for full point, I'll give it 4 out of 10.
Okay.
My biggest concern is with you saying James Robinson is going to be behind center, right? Travis Etienne is going to be everywhere else on the field.
Yeah.
That's my concern is that
That's fair.
he might not be that running back, but he's going to be that wide receiver too. He's going to be, it's going to be different positions on the field because he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
It's like
fair.
he's getting those catches in a PPR format. Like that's where he surpasses James Robinson for sure.
It just boils down to how many targets is Marvin Jones going to get, how many targets is Christian Kirk going to get, how many targets is Zay Jones, who they paid $10 million, going to get, how many targets is Evan Ingram and Dan Arnold going to get, how many targets is James Robinson going to get. Like there's a lot of targets to be had in that offense.
The mailman.
It's tough. It's tough that
Man,
Laviska wasn't mentioned at all. It's so sad.
I've got a Visca jersey hanging in my closet.
So do
and
I.
I can't speak any words of him. I just can't do it right now.
I literally bought a Mooney jersey and a Laviska Chenault jersey their rookie year, and I almost put it on today. And I was like, I gotta leave this on. I gotta leave this on. Can't do it. My only concern with your take is something that doesn't really concern me, but I wanted to ask everyone else here what their opinions were. Does the Achilles scare you at all, especially watching Cam Akers perform pretty horrendously in playoffs, coming back from a very similar timeline? Obviously different times, but their recovery time's been very similar. Does that scare you at all?
So it's a little concerning. Cam Akers did come back about by time that the regular season starts, James Robinson hitting the field will be about a month and a half longer than Cam Akers. So that's enough time where I'm willing to feel better about it. It's a little concerning. We haven't really seen any running back come off of an Achilles injury and be dominant again. But at the same time, we've never really seen many running backs who are already dominant have Achilles injuries. There is not a big history of like fantasy dominant or NFL dominant running backs that have Achilles injuries if you go back and look. So it's kind of uncharted waters here that we're going into. So I'm just going to put my claim on. I'm a big James Robinson fan. I like the talent a lot. I was always a little bit lower on ETN than consensus coming out of college. Not thinking he's a bad player, but I just think he's a bit overrated. I don't think he's like a number 1 running back type of guy. So all that added up, it's hard for me to not have my faith in James Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I don't love Travis Etienne. I have both Cam Akers and James Robinson on my dynasty team, so I'm firm believers in both those guys. So I see this as a pretty good possibility. I don't know if I'd make the claim myself because I think the Jaguars are a big question mark, just a bad team.
That's
so
fair.
But,
when it comes to standard, I'll give it a 6. When it comes to half point, I'll give it a 3. And when it comes to full point, I'll give it a flat out 0. And here's my reasoning. Giuseppe talked about how he's going to be all over the field. ETN versus James Robinson. Also, when it comes to the most important plays, in the football game, it's going to be ETN in the backfield, not James Robinson.
We'll see.
And then also, when you think about the Jags overall as a team, are they going to be leading many games? Are they going to be able to just pound the rock? I don't think so. They're going to need to use that pass receiving running back to try to climb back into games, and I think Travis Etienne will be able to do that for them as well. I think Travis Etienne will just have more of a share when it comes to being on the field, a play share, than James Robinson will.
That's where I disagree, because I think James Robinson, as long as he's healthy and as long as Etienne are both healthy, I think he's going to see more snaps, because I think more often than not, they're going to be on the field at the same time. They'll probably run a little more two running back sets, maybe, but just James Robinson in the backfield, Etienne throw him in the slot or something like that. I think more often than not we're going to see that, because James Robinson is a very quality pass blocker. So even in those passing snaps, he'll be out there as a blocker. Maybe he runs one of those like those read routes where he turns into a flat route after waiting for his 2 seconds, realizing there's no extra rusher, and he gets those dump offs. That's the type of thing that is gonna happen. So to say that he's gonna be out snapped at Travis Etienne, I just can't go there.
See, we see this very differently, because I agree. I think there's going to be 2 running back sets, but I think when it comes to the player that's going to get more time in that one personnel, it's going to be Etienne. You think it's going to be Robinson.
Yep.
So there's the disconnect. All right, which one of you guys want to go with your last one?
I'm ready if you want.
You go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
I'll come over. I'll skip one. I'll just kind of comb over this. I do want to mention it.
Okay.
Darnell Mooney being a fringe wide receiver 1. I couldn't quite put him at 12. I have him at 14.
Okay.
I'll comb over it since we talked about the Bears enough, and I know very unpopular here.
Hey, you would think he's a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Maybe. My friends they keep saying, "Oh, you're a Bears fan. You're a Bears fan. How can you be a Lions fan?" So, but my hot take will be, this is the year. They always say, draft your handcuff, draft your handcuff, draft your handcuff. Tony Pollard and A.J. Dillon will both finish ahead of Zeke Elliott and Aaron Jones this year for fantasy. Both of them.
Chase is stone facing you. He's not giving you nothing.
I'm giving my confidence an 8 out of 10. This one's not a 10, an 8 out of 10, but I think they'll both finish ahead of them.
Okay.
I think they're just both better running backs. Aaron Jones, no disrespect, is just at this point in his career, 27, 28 is about the age that running backs fall off. A.J. Dillon's kind of undeniably, I think he's going to get the workhorse role. And Devonta Adams is no longer there to draw double teams. Aaron Jones is not going to eat in the short passing game. I don't see him getting long runs straight up the middle. You know what I'm saying? So,
God, I hope so.
No.
No?
God,
No.
I hope so. But
Unfortunately, no. And I can promise you, coming out of college, I was the biggest A.J. Dillon fan you've ever met in your life. He was in my top 5 running backs in that draft class, so no one even thought about putting him there. He was a very talented dude, and I love the way he plays. If you're talking about just standard, no bonus for your receptions, maybe he could get there, but Tony Pollard's he's not a better runner than Zeke. I'm sorry. He's just not.
He's a more efficient runner. He literally averages more yards per carry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because he's getting those in the garbage times. He's getting those in the situations
it's not.
where.
But
That's not true.
I thought Rashad Penny was efficient with his garbage time
He
work.
wasn't
and
getting
all.
garbage time. He was getting workhorse work last year. But nonetheless,
Efficiency is efficiency, Chase. Tony Pollard is so much better than Zeke Elliott.
he's just not. And A.J. Dillon, I think, is a better runner than Aaron Jones. I don't think that's much of a debate. But they're going to be working more as like a 1-2 combo. And Aaron Jones is going to get more short game passer than you think he's going to get, more medium range passer than you think he's going to get. Look at that receiving room. Look at that tight end room. There's not much to work with. When your best pass catcher is Aaron Jones, probably is.
You don't think defenses will adjust for that though?
At the end of the day,
I don't think that's going to be an option for that offense anymore. Is my point.
But I disagree because it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a lot more super short, like barely past line of scrimmage, where he can win a battle against a slower safety coming in or a linebacker coming in. I'm not that concerned about it. He's going to get enough targets where the points are just going to add up. I can't get there. Especially saying both. If you said maybe just A.J. Dillon or maybe just Tony Pollard, maybe I could give you like a 2, but both, it's just a 0.
Yeah, I had them in like separate categories, and then the more I was looking, I was driving over. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Why not?
I don't know what to say. You might as well just parlay them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got much better odds if this hits. I look like a genius if it doesn't. Hey, it doesn't matter. It wasn't gonna happen anyway. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. Oh no, it's fine. I only threw $5 on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine.
God, I would love for this to happen. I'm a big A.J. Dillon fan. Have you seen his thighs?
not quite Saquads.
Yeah, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
But I think A.J. Dillon's a much better player than Aaron Jones is. But it depends on what the coach thinks. That's my biggest concern is that I really think that the loss of Devonta Adams will hurt Aaron Jones, but I've heard a lot of talk about how it will help him. I mean, people are saying, oh, Aaron Jones without Devontae Adams, he had much more pass catching in those types of games, and he had a lot of points. But I think it will hurt him in the long term. I think they're gonna scheme to kind of stop that with Aaron Jones. But I mean, how can you really scheme it when you're throwing behind the line of scrimmage? And like you said, he's gonna go 1-on-1 with someone. Like, I guess they're gonna take their chances. But I just think AJ Dillon's a much better runner, and I think that's gonna show this year.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's super easy to just look in the past and think same old. But how I am right now, if someone from the future came and told me that this happened, I wouldn't be that shocked.
Right.
Like,
I'll take that.
But it's still a very long stretch to actually see it happen. But yeah, I'll give it a 3 because I think there is a decent chance that we've already seen Zeke start to decline. He hasn't been as efficient. He's still been a good fantasy player.
He can't hang on to the football.
Right. And then...
But here's the problem. They just talked about how they need to feature Zeke more in that offense. Just like a week ago that came out.
You've got Mike McCarthy as your head coach.
Yeah, and he's the one calling plays.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But he's got to be one of the worst coaches ever.
That's fine. It doesn't matter when he's calling plays and putting the person out there.
It doesn't
matter.
Doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't matter how good or bad you think a coach is. What
that was the
he's
owner.
saying was it Jerry Jones?
That was Jerry Jones.
Oh, and yes, if you listen to Jerry Jones, he has a missile in space pointing at you 24/7. He'll take you out.
Yeah, but that wasn't even the coach. He didn't it's the owner. I mean,
and I'm saying even if it was the coach,
yeah,
like there's so much coach talk going on right now. Like the things that Kyle Shanahan says, literally half of it is going to be true if we're lucky.
No, like 13%.
So
he just lies to lie.
Yeah, he 100% does.
Well, what did Dan Campbell say about
he's going to bite a kneecap?
No. No, what Raymond or what?
Khalif?
Yeah,
Josh Reynolds
or was it Reynolds? Or he said he's slippery and all that. I'm like, what are you playing with an eel? Like, what is he?
He called him like
praying mantis,
a lizard, a praying mantis, and something else.
I might just draft him like 3rd overall. I don't know. It sounds like the type of guy I want. I mean, we're talking coach talk. I mean,
that's my type of guy.
I want to give it a 4 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll
I like it. I mean, I think Zeke is declining. I still think he's a good running back, but I think Pollard, they have to use him more, especially with their lack of wide receivers right now. I think you could do something like Travis Etienne. You play him a little bit around the field. Like, why not? Why would you play a bad wide receiver when you can just feature this guy?
Who's a bad wide receiver on that team? Please do not.
All of them
please
except
do
Lamb.
not put Michael Gallup in off.
All of them except Lamb.
Michael Gallup's not going to be playing the first 4 weeks at least.
I thought he was ready to go. They put him on the.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought I read a couple days ago that they're already saying he's not playing week 1.
I thought he was out week 1, questionable week 2, maybe week 3.
And guess what? This helps my point even further. So thank you. If Michael Gallup's here quicker, it means less targets for Tony Pollard.
No.
I mean, no. What Michael Gallup's healthy? Now that Michael Gallup's healthy, we're going to give Pollard the ball more in the air.
We should because they'll have the ball more, so they don't lose it every time Zeke goes 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards. All right, let's punt it back to them.
He averaged in the 4s last year.
Yeah.
This wasn't the debate, though. I mean, I understand we want to go into offenses as a whole. I think that Tony Pollard is a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott, and Aaron Jones, unfortunately, is just getting old. That's the only reason that they were included in there. Tony Pollard is better. I would rather start Tony Pollard than Zeke Elliott if I was the Cowboys.
Couldn't disagree more.
Why?
He's got Zeke shares.
I don't have any Zeke shares anymore, actually. Funny enough, not in a single league.
So for everyone listening, he's dropped all of his Zeke shares. He sold all of them, and he's reinvested in elsewhere. He fails to admit where at. But
I sold every single Tony Pollard share as well. I don't want either of them.
Well, yeah, because you're saying that you want Dak Prescott to run even more. So obviously you don't have faith in the run game.
Yeah, I do. I don't have
much
much faith because I don't have any faith in Tony Pollard, and I have more faith in Zeke Elliott. I don't think either guy finishes as a running back 1. I don't think that's even in the conversation.
Well, no, that's not a question. I'm just saying Pollard, I think, is going to finish with more points. Same with Dillon.
I just can't get there. I'm sorry.
I got a 4 out of 10 from one person. That's fine.
And a 3.
That's a salvageable score.
I'd be super happy with AJ Dillon because I'm an AJ Dillon guy. Even though I hate the Packers, I hope the Packers go 0-17. But AJ Dillon has a big year. But I just can't see it with Tony
Pollard. What's more possible in your mind? The Zeke Elliott and Pollard, and the one Buckles just showed off, or the 3 rookie running backs top 12. What's more possible?
So basically, this is going to determine which one's hotter.
See,
I gave both zeros.
Yes,
and I said if either of those are isolated, I would have given it a 2. And if you had 2 rookie running backs as a top 12. I think I might have given it a 1, so I guess I'll give it to him.
All right.
Otter, what up?
You're hot. That's fine.
Yeah. All right, you want to hear about Hunter?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, this is gonna be real hot, so please don't.
Let me buckle in real quick.
Yeah, this is gonna be hot. We're talking tight ends again.
Ooh.
All right, we talked about how tight ends, from 8 on, they could all be in the same range, right? We talked a little bit about Matt Ryan, which is a little bit concerning for this, but Mo Alley Cox, all right, Megatron, big boy, Donald Parham Jr., another big boy, and a good offense, will have more touchdowns this season than George Kittle and Darren Waller. So them two combined will have more touchdowns than George Kittle and Darren Waller.
Combined as well?
Combined as well.
Wait, you're not saying by one of them individually. You're saying them both of them combined.
Combined.
Oh,
Mo Alley
God.
Cox and Donald Parham Jr. combined will have more than George Kittle and Darren Waller combined.
It's the worst take I heard all night.
I told you it was
Can we
high.
give a negative
But-
score?
Yeah.
I
Sure.
told you it was hot.
Hop in.
But
Hey,
hear me out.
Did you move to Mars?
Hear me out.
I will hear you out, and then I will rebuttal right away.
Matt Ryan, you talked about how terrible he is in the red zone. All these guys. Austin Hooper had great seasons with him. He loved throwing to him in the red zone. Austin Hooper had 6 touchdowns and 4 touchdowns in his 2 best seasons with him.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but I'm saying he was not a good tight end at the time.
Wasn't Julio
Wasn't never a
Jones
good tight
and
end.
Calvin Ridley
That's
both
what I'm
there
saying.
as
He
well?
was never a good tight end. Yeah. So I think that's pretty good.
I mean, so basically he was just wide open is what you're telling me for at least half of those.
what? I think that's pretty good. I mean, Mo Alley Cox is
Who's
a
gonna be
monster.
wide
He's
open?
a red zone target, undoubtedly a red zone target.
I would love to believe you. I drafted Mo Alley Cox in our dynasty draft. I would love to believe you here, but
Well-
I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, so if we're talking about Jonathan Taylor's regression from scoring touchdowns, we're talking Pittman Jr. is a good player. They're going to have to, cover him. I think a lot of play actions coming with Jonathan Taylor, and Malik Cox will be wide open. He's a great not rushing. He's a great pass blocker. Or
He's a
rush
fantastic blocker. Yeah.
right? So he's going to be on the field. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some slip screen where he's blocking, he comes off, and wide open touchdowns. He is a red zone target. He should get a ton of targets from Matt Ryan in the red zone. That's one of them. Parham Jr., another long wingspan, big body. They have a lot of options. But, I mean, when you have that many opportunities for points, they're going to spread the ball around. I think both those guys get a lot of touchdowns. I don't think we realize how little George Kittle gets touchdowns, and that he's gotten it, like in his history. I mean, last season I had it here.
I don't love Kittle, so
I mean, we talked.
I'm not
about,
mad at that.
I mean, we talk about the San Francisco offense. Anyone can score. They have 4 different running backs who can score a touchdown. Trey Lance could even run it in. We have Deebo Samuel. We have Ayuk that's setting the world on fire. Why is George Kittle getting that touchdown? You know what I'm saying? Darren Waller. Why would you be throwing to Darren Waller where you can throw at Devontae Adams? Devontae Adams was double covered last year, and they'd still throw it to him. Mm-hmm. That's my logic behind that.
It's funny because you're not going to find a much bigger Mo Alley Cox fan than me, but
I know, and that's why I was hoping you were going to be on my side.
yeah. But Jelani Woods is enough of a talent where I think he's going to get there because he is just kind of a receiving guy. I think he's going to see more work than we expect as a rookie. And I think that's going to include the red zone because he is also a very large human being. He's 6'7" as well.
Did he play basketball?
Mo Alley Cox, 6'6", 260. Jelani Woods, 6'7", 275.
Did he play basketball though?
Dude, that
He doesn't
makes
have
me
hands
He
like
played,
Mo Alley Cox.
he played quarterback.
Yeah, he doesn't have hands like Mo Alley Cox.
He can see the field better.
That might be true. That
Anyways,
might be
so,
true.
so I think Mo Alley Cox has a 4 touchdown season max, and Donald Parham this is a good sleeper tight end last year, and that flopped heavily.
He might not even be the starter.
Yeah, I don't know how much I trust him getting enough targets, especially in the red zone. Whereas Darren Waller, I think Buckles was the one talked about earlier. I think he's got a chance to eat in the red zone, and I don't disagree. And funny enough, with George Kittle, I don't have the numbers, but Trey Lance was a big fan of his tight ends in college, and I don't think it's going to change when you have a talent like George Kittle. I can't see how he doesn't lead the team in receiving touchdowns.
But he doesn't. He's not a big red zone target. He hasn't been in his career.
No,
That's all I'm saying.
That's fine. But like when you're at like the 8-yard line and they're running a pass play, he's easy to give a quick dump off to, and he's hard to take down from that point. So as long as he stays healthy, he's just gonna get in through sheer will.
So you think Debo's never going to score? Like at this point, like they're going to either score 50.
what he's saying.
They're either going to 50 points a game, or there's no chance that like Debo doesn't score. Like how are these guys all going to get points?
I think Debo's going to have the same workload that he did last year, where he's going to get a bunch of rushing touchdowns. I don't think he's going to get 10 necessarily, but if he gets like 7 on top of 5 receiving touchdowns, where George Kittle ends up with 7 receiving touchdowns, I think that's all very possible.
So, can we give confidence ratings on this, Chase?
0.
Buckles?
0.
I'll give you 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you 1.
I told you it was hot.
Hey, you saved me the one time from getting
but
zeros across
guess
the board.
what?
So.
Like at the end of the season, you're gonna look back into that camera and you're gonna be able to say, "No, I'm just kidding." But I mean, you have a 1 out of 30.
Yeah, at least I have a
You have a 1 out of 30.
I have reason. I have reasons behind this.
No, it's not.
They don't have to be good reasons, but you have reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like me when I have to write an essay. It's like I don't think I'm putting it in here. But
Put in a bunch of filler.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with the very last hot take of the episode. One that, when you look at scale, especially size, I mean, we just went from 6'7", 275, and Jelani Woods, Mo Cox, 6'6", 260. I'm not at that scale.
Is this a Tariq Cohen take?
It's not. But I will say that the Tennessee Titans' best rookie wide receiver when it comes to PPR, full PPR, is going to be from the 5th round, not from the 1st round, as Kyle Phillips is going to outscore Treylon Burks in full PPR formats.
Well, Mike, you know I'm a big Kyle Phillips fan. You
Yep.
know that. You know I'm a bigger
I'm
Treylon
ready
Burks fan.
I'm going to give you a 2.
I'm a bigger Treylon Burks fan, so I am going to give you, just because you said that, I was going to give you 2, but you're going to get a 1 now. Because I think Treylon Burks has got legitimate wide receiver 2 potential, because
Elite.
like he's just the best receiver in the room right now. As much as I like Robert Woods, he was, he had some good moments last year. Then he got hurt, and he's an aging receiver coming off injury. Not really like going to be Tannehill's guy, where Treylon Burks can get the ball in more unique ways. So I think he's got a better chance of finishing with that higher ceiling. And right now, Kyle Phillips isn't even listed as a starter on the depth chart. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have to continue to work his way up there, where Treylon Burks is listed as a starter. So even if he does become a starter at some point, it might not be until week 4, 5, 6 in the season. And you're going to say he's going to get that hyper-targeted? I can't see it.
I just don't know if you've heard all the praise from Cam so far about Kyle Phillips. I think that he will have the slot position, the slot role locked down by week 1. And when you look at Tannehill, what kind of a quarterback he is, trash. And so
yes, well, that's absolutely fair.
That's why he's going to look for the dump-offs in the slot rather than looking for the big plays out of Treylon Burks. So,
I mean, Treylon Burks, I don't think it's going to be a big play offense at all. I think it's going to be all intermediate to short range. So
there's a reason I said full PPR. I think if it's half PPR or standard, I think Treylon Burks just going to have way more touchdowns. But I could very well see Kyle Phillips finishing with more receptions just because of the slot that he'll play.
You need him to be that Hunter Renfrow and 2 shots of espresso. You need him. You need him to be that player.
That's hilarious.
But I can't take credit for that one. That's Brett Coleman. But I cannot take credit for that one, because it is great, and I do agree watching him play. I think it's that exact same way. I think he's the exact same type of player. But you have to hope for that out of a rookie. It's hard to get there with a 5th round rookie receiver.
Well, we're talking about 2 rookies here.
A 1st round rookie was significantly more talented as well.
There's a reason he was my wide receiver 14. No, I'm kidding. Treylon Burks wasn't that low. All right.
Throw it to Mike, because he's
he's a Treylon Burks lover.
As someone that I traded up in the draft to get
Yeah.
with pick 3 over Drake London,
Yep.
I give this a 0.
Yeah, I can't get there.
From a fantasy perspective, I think Treylon Burks is going to be amazing. I think he's got wide receiver 2 written all over him. I think there's more likelihood of Ryan Tannehill not being the starter on that team midway through the season than there is that take. And I think everyone in this room would agree.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't.
What? You think that this is more... I mean, is this just targeting? Is this just to get me never to come back here? I'm kind of confused.
Targeting.
Like
15 yards.
I took that personally.
Hey, there's a reason Malik Willis dropped so far in the draft. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are going to be willing to roll him out until like week 15, 16, similar to a Patrick Mahomes situation.
Question. You just said kind of quarterback Tannehill is trash.
Yes.
Have you watched him play? Because he actually is probably worse than trash. He might be, in my opinion, the worst starter in the NFL.
Remember when people thought he was going to be a top 10 QB last year? Everyone's like, Ryan Tannehill, league winner. I drafted him in the last round. Like,
Graham had the audacity to make a quarterback. We talk about this quite a bit because it's hilarious. He had the audacity to make a quarterback list a year or 2 ago and had Ryan Tannehill as his 4th ranked quarterback in the league.
What? I mean, I just don't understand how, from an upside standpoint,
why?
you can't do that. For what reason? When you think you have Derrick Henry behind center, like on what world do you think that Ryan Tannehill is going to be a top 4 QB, let alone a top 10? I was laughing when people said they were using me top 10 league winner. I'm like, what?
I'm sorry. I'm still aghast because of Chase's take that he's the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Not the worst quarterback in the NFL.
No,
We're starting.
Oh my bad.
The worst starting quarterback.
That's
still.
Did you cross Trevor Lawrence off the list? Is he not starting anymore?
Get the hell out of here.
My bad.
Drew
my bad.
Lock? I don't know.
Geno Smith is better.
And Ryan Tannehill's still better than Geno Smith.
Geno Smith is better than Ryan Tannehill.
I'll put $100 on it right now.
I'm so happy I
passing
brought this up.
efficiency and metrics are just proven. I don't have numbers in front of me, so I can't make the strict argument. But we can have this conversation another day, and I can have the numbers for you.
I don't think Ryan Tannehill is good, and I call him trash. But Malik Willis is not there, and
That's
He doesn't
fine.
have to be.
it's very obvious that he's not there. And you and I talked about how he cannot start year one. I don't know if you remember this.
No,
This was just a
I
couple
don't.
months ago.
I don't disagree. But we're forgetting. We're all forgetting a key factor here. Well, I'm not forgetting. I don't forget this. Sports teams do not have patience. They rush every single player every single time. No,
I don't
they
care.
never take the chance to overripen a player. He's going to get thrown in the action this year when they end up being 3-9 by week 13, week 14.
No, they aren't.
They are. I hate to break it to you.
They're bad.
I'll put a bet out there right now, $20 that says Malik Willis starts less than 2.5 games. I'll put that out right there. Right?
Yeah, you want to do
You
that?
can't start. You can't start.
I'll give you. I'll
So-
give you 3. So if Malik Willis starts 4 games this year, you owe me $20. I'll shake your hand on the camera. We can get up. We can
Let's
get
do
nice,
this.
close, and personal if they want. All right, we'll do it.
I can't get out. I can't get out.
So $20 if Malik Willis starts four games, I
or
get
more.
20.
Yeah.
And if he starts 3, you get. What happens if he starts? All right, that's fine.
Starts.
Yep.
So I don't get why he gave you the free game.
I don't know, but it's
I
easy.
was
You wanna,
for the one game less.
for 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Starts.
We'll do that. We'll do that. That's
Well,
fine.
he has so much confidence. That's why.
That's
I
fine.
respect it. He's
Yeah,
saying,
I'm
"You can take
not
the
just
game."
going to give you the free game.
Well, you just want to make them hotter because when you come on this
But-
show, you got it's hot
But
takes.
that's how you lose money.
I'm not losing anything.
By getting bold on bets. You can be respectful instead, which I was.
Sorry, I'm just looking up who the Titans' true backup is because
He's looking up what he
Logan
wants.
Woodside. Logan Woodside's going to start more than Malik.
Have you ever
Willis.
watched Logan Woodside throw the ball?
Do you want to double
It's
down?
so
do you want to
bad.
double down on that?
Definitely
Do you want to double down?
not. Because I'm already making money off of you.
Yeah,
Why do I
well,
want to make more off
Logan
of you?
Woodside's so bad, it's hilarious.
I need to get on I need my computer. So I can get on there and start looking what I'm going to do with that $20.
You know what I love about backup quarterbacks in the NFL? Is there truly a legitimate, just good backup quarterback anymore?
Dude,
you can make
there's so many bad quarterbacks. In
Kenny
the league. I feel
Pickett? Oh, he's a third string.
Watch
Sorry,
yourself.
my bad.
Yeah.
I think about that. I'm like, there can't be only 10 good quarterbacks in this world. There's so many bad quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks. There's I can name 10 bad ones.
Well, you know what's crazy is I think it was
imagine backups.
2 years ago. Maybe it was only 1 year ago. I think it was actually coming out of the draft of
2020.
the Trevor Lawrence draft.
2021, okay.
We were looking at it and it's like, everyone's got a pretty good quarterback. Either they're good or they've got potential. I mean, there was a couple.
It was once those quarterbacks were drafted, they all looked good in the offseason. And
Yeah,
then
we're like-
how quick it changes. Just how quick it changes.
Trevor
And
Lawrence
then
is
you
the
got-
worst out of all of them. That's crazy.
That's true. Davis Mills. Who would have thought?
All right. Do you guys want to give your confidence? I know you gave a 0. Oh, no, you gave a 1.
I'm going to be honest. What was the take again?
Kyle Phillips will finish with more fantasy points in PPR than Treylon Burks.
I don't know why you wasted your breath. 0.
Okay.
I just want to bring back someone like N'Keal Harry, high draft capital. I mean, anyone.
I like this.
Undrafted free agents were much better than he was his whole career.
Well, what rookie receiver on that team did better than him?
Jacoby Myers.
I don't know
Yes.
that. I don't know that
Didn't
year.
Jacoby
He
but-
did better, honestly. I don't know. He
Didn't he just
didn't
get
do
his
a lot his rookie year.
He was still
It was
better.
still better though.
He-
I mean,
didn't he
N'Keal
just-
Harry was
Let's
terrible.
find out.
He just got his first touchdown last year. How can he have done better?
Well,
his
he
first
Because
year?
N'Keal Harry had 2 receptions because he sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not going to say Treylon Burks is going to be.
Who you
bad-
looking up?
Bad
N'Keal
like
Harry
that.
or?
I can do N'Keal Harry. I was looking at both. But you guys continue talking. Fill
Yeah,
the
yeah.
noise.
No, I'm just saying, stuff like that happens. Draft capital is one thing, but once you draft a player, they're not a first round pick anymore. They're an NFL player,
Yep.
just like anyone else. Just like Kyle Phillips is an NFL player, right? So he's on the roster. He's an NFL player. It's a possibility. I'm not going to say it's a probability. I'll give it a 2.
Let's go.
I'm giving it a 2. I mean,
You got N'Keal Harry's pointage?
I don't have points. I pulled up their their
Okay.
Pro Football Reference pages.
Okay.
Just see yardage.
How many
and stuff.
receptions and yards did he have?
Oh, it wasn't great. It was 12 for 105.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers 26 for 359.
2 touchdowns though.
Jacoby Myers.
Nikhil Harry has 2 touchdowns? I didn't even know he had 2.
He has 4 in his career,
I
baby.
didn't even think that. Where did that happen?
Jeez.
His second year in the league,
Preseason?
His second year in the league, he started 9 games and had 33 receptions for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yo,
Keep in mind, he only played in 7 games and started 5 his rookie year as well too.
he's about to triple his touchdowns though, with Justin Fields finishing as a top 6.
That's right.
There we go.
0-0, baby.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out. Mike, Zep, anywhere they can find you, I'll put your guys' Twitters in the description below. Anything else you guys want to shout out?
We were, but it's tough pickings right now. Mike, you wanna go for it? You
it
got
is
the
tough.
Twitter account at least.
No, I don't have anything on there. We can put them in the description. There's nothing I need to shout out.
Okay. Flashy Stats Fantasy Podcast.
Soon to be revived?
Soon to be revived.
We would love to revive it. It's just dependent on a few other parties that also have stake in the podcast. It's what level of commitment they're willing to put in. Just like a lot of the NFL players, what makes or breaks a player.
Is it a ribeye, a filet mignon? What kind of steak we got in there? Anyways, we want to thank you guys so much for coming out and giving us a listen. Chase, do you want to shout out anything?
At Trawdust.
At Trawdust. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for coming out. We want to thank you so much for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, if you could please give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know who you thought had the hottest hot take down in the comments below. Make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. It's again on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. We also have an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. All of that will be in the description below. If you are listening on a podcast platform, if you could please give us a 5-star rating and a follow. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming out. And as always, we're not professionals.